Hi, I'm Ryan Pesch. I'm an extension educator with the University of Minnesota, and I'm going to give you a short introduction on the focus group approach to defining a trade area. There are a couple of distinct advantages to the focus group approach to defining a trade area. First and foremost is it builds on local knowledge by pulling together a group of informed merchants. Local merchants have very tangible knowledge about the geographic extent of their customers, really which is a good base on which to build a trade area. Second is fast and efficient. Within 30 minutes, you can conduct this exercise and have a fairly reasonable trade area for the community. However, there are disadvantages. One is this approach is susceptible to domination by some influential participants who may be involved in the focus group. And also, from my experience, I think there's a general tendency for a group of merchants to overinflate the size of their trade area. To conduct a focus group, you need to recruit and convene a group of informed merchants. Typically, this is 5 to 8 individuals, not really a large group, but big enough that you have some richness of opinion. Typically in projects, this is a retail study group that's working with you on a market analysis, but this could also be a Chamber of Commerce retail committee, which is quite common, or a Main Street retail committee. And in explaining to potential merchants to join this focus group, you might want to explain that really we're doing an exercise to create a trade area to represent the whole community. Depending on your analysis, you might have 2 trade areas, a convenience and a destination trade area. But oftentimes, especially with smaller communities, what we're really trying to do is find a reasonable trade area, one trade area that acts for the whole community. To assist a focus group in sketching out the trade area for the community, trade area or trade areas for the community, we will supply them a map which gives them their basic geographic context around their community. Typically on this map we have distance rings. In this instance, for a smaller community, we have rings at 5 and 10 miles. If you had a larger community, you might have distance rings at 10 and 25 miles in order to get people a sense of distance. Second, we have the road network on this map. Oftentimes, it's people's context is in relation to state highways or interstate highways or even county or township roads. And those are often cutoff points for a trade area. And lastly, we put in nearby towns. Being that trade areas are often done in relation to their competition and nearby communities, you need to have the nearby towns listed on there so that people can draw an accurate trade area. The first step in doing the trade area mapping exercise is to give each participant a physical map. So print out the map with your lines on there and the road network and the like, and hand it out to each of them. And have them first individually draw what they believe is a reasonable trade area for their community. You might want to further define that by saying the trade area is where the community pulls a majority of its customers. Not focusing too much on your own individual business, but thinking about the community as a whole. So what an individual would do is, what we typically have them do is on the physical map, on the paper map, is to just shade in an area that they believe is the most appropriate trade area for their community. The second part of the trade area mapping exercise involves individuals sharing what they believe the trade area for the community is. And the hard part of this is after people have begun to share, what you'll find are generally there's a lot of overlap in the trade area that the different focus group members have. And so your job is to bring them to consensus to one area or 2 areas if that's what you're going for. And oftentimes ask about, okay, here on the northern half, where do you think the trade area line should be drawn? Have people chime in and bring them to some kind of consensus. Next, going on to the eastern side of the trade area, where do you think the trade area line should be drawn over here? Have some discussion, get people talking, and generally bring them to some kind of consensus. And at the end of the day, typically it's not too difficult. What you find is that people come to a consensus fairly rapidly on what is the trade area for the community. And again, the idea is to get a reasonable trade area for a community, or multiple trade areas, a destination, convenience trade area for a community. This really isn't as much of an exact science as it is an art. If you have an area that the focus group is comfortable with, you probably have a very reasonable trade area that you can use for your analysis.